Okay, hi guys. Uh, Tuesday when we were discussing probability, we talked about the experiment of rolling a pair of dice. I like us to review because this will take us deep into an understanding of what a probability is. So I hope you have experienced. I mean, you know about dice. And if we roll a pair of dice, what is the outcome? What outcome are we going to see? So let's write all the possible outcomes when we roll a pair of dice. So one possible outcome would be if both of them end up with one. The first die and the second die. Another possible outcome would be 1 and 2. Another possible outcome would be 1 and 3. And I keep on using the first die always shows up as 1, but we can permutate the other one. 1 and 5 and 1 and 6. Okay. So we have 6 different outcomes. With the first die would be 1 and the second die would be permutating from 1 to 6. And then we can go ahead and do the same thing. What about if the first die becomes 2, 2 and 1? Then you have 2 and 2, 2 and 3, 2 and 4, 2 and 5, and 2 and 6. Okay. What about another? So you have again 3 and 1, 3 and 2, 3 and 3, another 3 and 4, 3 and 5, and 3 and 6. Okay. And what if the first die becomes 4? Then I have 4 and 1, 4 and 2. And if we write it this way, it becomes much easier to know how large the sample space becomes, 4 and 6. Let me go ahead and finish this. 5 and 1, 5 and 2, 5 and 3, 5 and 4, 5 and 5, 5 and 6. Then we have one more. What if the first die is 6? So you have 6 and 1, 6 and 2, 6 and 3, 6 and 4, 6 and 5, and 6 and 6. This is the possible outcome, all the possible outcome when we roll a pair of dice. How many possible outcomes are there? 36 possible outcomes. That is the sample space. This is what we call the sample space. There is nothing outside of it. So this is the sample space. Now, our task is to find the probability of each. Meaning what? If you roll a die, what is the probability that both of them would be 1 and 1? Or meaning what? Their sum is going to be 2. What is the probability that their sum is going to be 3? 1 plus 2, 3. 1 plus 3. And we can go ahead all the way from the beginning up to the end. Okay? So that's what we are going to do. I'm gonna wipe this out. Okay? Make sure that you have this list So when we do the events, then you can look at the list and then verify our probability. Okay, so once you write this, so as we discussed on Tuesday, we are going to look at events. We have already written the sample space is 36. Now we are looking at particular events within the sample space. So you will say, if I roll the 2 dice and I end up with 2, what is the probability? The probability is there is only one way of getting a 2, which is the first die is 1 and the second die is also 1. So there is only one outcome, so it would be 1 out of 36. And you can look at your table. That is the only one that gives you the 2 is the first die, which is 1, and the second die also being 1. Okay. Rolling a 3. And if you go into the chart and look at the chart, you have, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write this for you. Rolling a 2, the only possible way would be 1 and 1, so that would be 1 out of 36. In rolling a 3, you would get 1, 2, and 2, 1. You can always verify that. So there are 2 possible outcomes. So it would be, the probability would be 2 over 36. Okay. If you roll a 4, then you have 3 different outcomes. One of them is 1 and 3. The other one is 3 and 1, right? And the other one is 2 and 2. So you have 3 out of 36. The probability would be 3 out of 36. If I roll a 5, okay, again, go to the table. It would be 1 and 4, 4 and 1, 3 and 2, 2 and 3. So you end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 different ways of getting a 5. So the probability is 4 out of 36. Roll a 6. Now roll a 6, then you can have, okay, involving 1, you have 1 and 5, 2 and 4, 5 and 1, 4 and 2, 3 and 3. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 5 out of 36. There are 5 different ways of rolling a 6. So the probability has to be 5 over 36. Roll a 7. If you roll a 7, you're going to get, involving 1, you cannot get because there is no 1 and oh, there is 1 and 6, my apologies. 1 and 6. Then you have 2 and 5. Then you have 3 and 4. Then you have 6 and 1. Then you have 5 and 2. Then you have 4 and 3. Then if you count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it would be 6 out of 36. If you roll a 7, there are 6 different ways. If you roll a 2 dice, there are 6 different ways of rolling a 7. How about roll an 8? This was what I was thinking about. Rolling an 8, you can't have 1. One of them would be 1. And because the other one has to be 7, you know there is no a 7 number die. So it would be 2 and 6, 3 and 5, 4 and 4, 5 and 3, 6 and 2. So you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different outcomes if you roll an 8. So this would be 5 out of 36. I hope you can see this. If you roll a 9, then you can't have a 2 and 7, so there is no 2. So it would be 3 and 6, 4 and 5, 5 and 4, and then 6 and 3. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different outcomes. 4 out of 36. Look at the pattern. We started with 1 out of 36, and it went up, and then it's coming down. Now let's roll a 10. In rolling a 10, we cannot use 2, we cannot use 3, we can only use 4. So this will be 4 and 6, 5 and 5, and then 6 and 4, and that would be 1, 2, and 3, so we have 3 out of 36. So there are only 3 ways of rolling a 10. Roll an 11. Now you know the pattern. If you roll an 11, you can only do what? 5 and 6, and then 6 and 5. That's the only 2 possibilities if you roll 2 dice and get an 11, and that would be 2 out of 36. Now the last one would be roll a 12. And you know, rolling a 12 is like rolling a 2. There is only one outcome. There is only one possibility. That is what? 6 and 6, which is 1 out of 36. Okay. Now, this is the entire sample space. How do I know that? If you add, I'm going to write this. Okay. If you add 1 out of 36 plus 2 out of 36 plus 3 out of 36 plus 4 out of 36 plus 5 out of 36 plus 6 out of 36. And let me write it. I think you can also see. And then plus 5 out of 36. All the way up to 1 over 36. And that is equal to 36 out of 36, which is the entire sample space. So that is the synopsis of what we mean probability and events. All the events are subsets, but the sum of all this becomes the entire space, which is 36 out of 36.